Welcome back, my beautiful, beautiful students, to Extra Credit. My name is Weebology Ricky, and I have been living in the void for a couple weeks, but a couple of you actually messaged me personally on, Discord and other mediums, and your words have really struck me. I have been climbing slowly out of the void, and one of the things that have really gotten me on the up and up is Tower of God, Episode 4. And I want to dig into it, because this one, oh boy, the weapons are heavy. The weapon explanations are heavy. We've been seeing the Black March, that one chick, the Onku's weapon of a whip variety with the same mark on it. It's kind of been alluded to up to this point in these episodes, but in episode 4 they really dig into what these weapons are, and I want to talk about them. But before we get into that, let's talk about the lesser points, because some of them are lesser by merit of plot, but they aren't lesser in my opinion. So I want to chat about those first. Shibuya, or Shibuzu, or whatever the tracksuit guy's name, he's forgettable. Let's not sugarcoat the shit. He is a forgettable guy, but not in this episode. In this episode, he actually, his quote-unquote killing arts, which he said in this episode was a fake. Like, he was just faking being strong. He actually held his own. He has pretty good martial art technique. To the point where he was holding off by himself 2 members of a certain team. The one with that one chick with the knife and another dude with a horn, and the Sleepy Boy Supreme, the guy sleeping in a sleeping bag. He was holding off the 2 active ones without problem. He, with his quote-unquote killing arts that he quoted to be a fake, but they're actually pretty legit. Like, they're not bad. So he's actually holding his own, while Hots is out here fucking using swordsmanship. This man has 2 swords. He uses one and throws it like a boomerang into the sky, and then fights off another team, all with swords, with one sword, even cracking through one of the guy's big knives. Like, literally cracking all the way through it. And that shit is legit to me, because it shows his skill. It shows he doesn't need to rely on his entirety of skill to be a avid member of the team. And all this is happening while Onku is sitting with the crown and her whip on the throne, having a sweet nap. And as someone who's lived in isolation, like all of you have, naps are a treasure. Naps are a treasure. So I resonate with her napping on the throne like nothing's a problem. So I love this particular round 2, because, one member of this team is holding off, even though everyone thought he wouldn't. One other member is holding off another team, even though we all know he would. And the other member is napping as if she is their trump card, even though she's the one that they're protecting, being the crowned queen on the throne. Now, all this shit hits ahead when Sleepy Boy Supreme pulls his hand out and starts to conjure Shinzou. Now, what? I thought only rankers, only people to the top of the tower up to this point could handle using Shinzou. And yet, people have called him when he's about to fire a Shinzou blast into Onku on the throne as a wave controller. So we know now that those that can control Shinzou are not only called wave controllers, but they're ones that are people that are in this competition can use Shinzou. So all of the unknown individuals that we've never seen fight could potentially be people to control this limitless power source. I'm really excited to see that, because I thought up to this point only those who have made it to the top could even conjure it, even use it, just from Rio using it in that lobby before the real test started in the last episode. In my mind, they were the only ones that could possibly make this work. So having a contestant use it is a really good swerve. I am proud of Tower of God for using the power source as a metric to allow for a cool power twist in this particular situation. So we see this guy fire hard a Shinzou blast into the throne, and Ionku takes it. She takes the brunt of it, but she also flips up and lands on the top of the throne. And then she goes beast mode. This is where we see the weapons take their shape, because she has a three-eyed weapon, this whip that we knew nothing about, and she screams the word ignition. Now we know at this point that she is igniting some extra power from this weapon, and I love tiered weaponry. Oh my god, like Bleach, even Naruto with the Sharingan, with the extra layers to the to the Sharingan eye. It's a shonen thing to have extra depths in weapons or powers, but I'm a big fan of tiered weaponry, and this show has already shown that in this episode you can have tiers to the very specific weapon set that not only Ionku has, but Bon has with the Black March. So when she whips out this weapon and says ignition, it doesn't just turn into one whip, it turns into many whips. It turns into, 12, 15 whips that are all growing in size and slaying people. I love that. That's a beautiful shonen trope that is unspoken of, or at least not commonly talked about in shonen, that these weapons have tiers, and it's a trope that has been widely used but rarely done so early. Like, this is only episode 4. We didn't learn that Zanpakuto have Bankai in Bleach until way late in the series, but we're learning about it here. This is essentially a weapons Bankai in episode 4, which is super cool to me. So she busts out this crazy whip action to dominate the field, like dominate it, and it's unmatched. No one can really touch it. Even the Shinzou user, the Sleepy Boy Supreme, kind of backs off and flies for some reason. So maybe Shinzou has something to do with that, but who knows? But in the moment that this happens, that she screams ignition, and Kun calls it an ignition weapon, Bon's Black March starts to go crazy, like starts to shake. And she knows instantly that it is a weapon in her set. She retracts her entire quote unquote Bankai, her ignition. She retracts her ignition and focuses on the Black March behind her, and then freaks out. She slaps open the cage with her whip. She breaks into it, breaks all the rules. She still has the crown on, by the way. And if you remember last episode, they said if you leave the throne with the crown, your team loses. And she says, fuck that. I'm going to go into this cage with the kid, with the Black March. And that is when she starts to really lay down the exposition. This situation allows for verbal exposition, and I love that a lot. I really do. Because she is aggressed. She is unhappy. She is very angry for some reason, and we find out why. So she talks about how these weapons, the weapon he has and the weapon she has, are part of a set called the 13 Months that are made by Ashu Edwaru. I'm assuming Edward, but Edwaru. But Ashu Edwaru is the master forger of these weapons that are all included in the 13 months, which, those of you who know the calendar, there are only 12 months, so I'm really curious to see what they call that 13 month. She then gives her whip a name, the Green April. And here we have our set. Ethan, in his past episodes with me on the Weebology podcast, have talked about how it's really cool to have a group, a set of things. And I think this show has really hit on a really cool way to illustrate that. They didn't just include a set of weapons included in the calendar year. They've added one more, and they've all have some kind of color associated. The Black March, the Green April. We didn't know what Black March meant. To me, I thought it was a cool name like the Black March, like marching along. But it's really cool to see that this is actually associated with the calendar months of the year, and I'm really into that. I think that, for me, really hit the shonen mark for me for this show. I knew it was shonen from episode 2, but this one really hit the mark for me. And I loved her saying, you aren't worthy of handling that weapon, but give it back to me. I want it back because I am a princess of Jihad. Now, we've heard this before. That chick, that Yuri Chick, that Yuri Chick gave him the Black March, but she also whipped out a whole slew of weapons in episode 1. Were those the rest of the 13-month weapon set made by the Eduardo dude? I don't know. It seems like a pretty logical step to take, that she had all of them. So it makes me think, how did Onku get the Green April? How did she get a piece of this set? And the fact that she said she was the princess of Jihad makes me think, this Yuri human-looking thing and this Onku fish girl, I don't know, makes it seem like these princesses aren't blood related. They aren't blood related. They are in some way chosen, maybe? Is there a harem at the top of this Tower of God chosen by the women who make it to the top and just given a weapon? They're all princesses, according to people who have said one-line throwaways here and there that says, oh, that it's the 13-month series are weapons that are given to the princesses of Jihad by the king himself. Is he just making a harem of strong chicks up there? Who's to say? I'm excited to see. But she then is stopped by Lirio, says, fuck this, you can't be doing this. I make the rules here. I'm the man of the house, and you are the one who obeys. So she makes a bet. She says, hey, Bomb, if you can survive and take the crown, your team can take the crown by round 5. By the end of round 5, you can have not only the Black March, but the Green April. But if you can't do it, you have to give me your weapon. Now that's super cool to me. I like that a lot. Because this episode made it seem like the weaponry, the 13-month series weaponry, is the way to win the tower. Even Kun says using an ignition weapon is almost unfair. It should be against the rules. So these weapons are so powerful, they're almost hacks, right? And the way that she used the whip was legitimately a hack. Like, there's no way you can touch her with this weapon. So I like this bet. This bet is super cool. And then we get a new set of players on the field, and Kun, Bon, and Rock's team decides to join the fray in round 3. So they're all fighting for the crown. The crown is just sitting on the throne because Lirio took it off of Ionku's head and said, screw you, you broke the rules, I'm putting this back on, let's go to round 3. Now, all of them are gunning for the throne, and everyone knows it's a game of speed. You just got to get there and have the rest of your team handle it. One of these people is a little squirrel chick, one of these has a rubbery body. Like, these characters are so robustly different that it does have a Hunter x Hunter feel, that everyone's unique power set is so different that it really comes down to the same variety as Nen. Anyone can have any power at any time, but I'm curious to see why in the later episodes that these people have these particular power sets. What races exist that can participate in this Tower of God competition? And then we see, as everyone rushes into the throne to get that crown, Kun whips out some kind of wind move and just bum rushes tornado style into the middle and grabs the crown from the throne. But he says it's not good enough. He says it's not fun enough, you know. He says, here's the crown. Anyone who wants to beat me, come at me. If you beat me, you get the crown. And he stuffs it in his bag. And now y'all know I've been talking about the bag for 3 episodes, now 4. And his bag comes into full force this episode. It basically not only blocks a Shinzou attack, but it also blocks every other attack from every other team. And this one chick who shot a Shinzou blast has a wand that can control Shinzou. She doesn't have it. She doesn't have the wave control that Sleepy Boy Supreme did. She has a wand that can handle controlling Shinzou. So not only does he block it, he opens his bag and allows it to be shoved into his bag, and he can absorb Shinzou. What the fuck? Like, this is crazy to me. Like, Kun is a badass in all regards. He slays everybody. He defends against everybody. He can control, not control. He can absorb Shinzou. He can defend against Shinzou. And the entire time, he had the crown in his bag. And then at some point, near the end of the episode, he throws it out. The crown. He throws it in there and says, you know what? Screw this, y'all fight for it. They all start fighting for it, and they realize it was a fake crown the entire time that he threw it out. Bon had the crown because he just walked up and sat on the throne, and the the actual crown is now with him because he threw a fake one out. So does his bag have even more capacity than I said? Can he not only defend against things, absorb Shinzou, and also copy items that are in the bag? His bag, I'm going to keep saying it. This bag is actually crazy. Kun's bag might, in my opinion, you watch later, under the flap, you're going to see 3 eyes. You're going to see a 3-eyed mark, and it's going to be forged by the Ashu Edward, and he's going to have one of the 13 months in his disposal as a brown bag. I would love to see like him pull out the brown October. That'd be so cool. That would be so cool. But I honestly gotta think that he really does have a special weapon on his hands, whether it is given to him by his royal background or it is one of the 13-month series. But we now have a concrete idea of what these special weapons are, and some of them are savvy to it. Some of these people are savvy to what these weapons are. Some of them are not. Some of them are just like, wow, that's a powerful weapon, like Rack. But Kun is like, I know exactly what that is. So if I have to give this episode a ranking, I would give it an 8.3. It's better than last episode. The Sakuga was delicious. It was soul filling. It was great. I mean, It still has that rough feeling, but all of the animation is fluid. You can tell they put some serious professional work into the way things are going. And I'm excited to see episode 5 because at the end of the episode, as Onku is walking by one of the cages because she was disqualified, one of the members of the hooded team, the one that they made this whole bonus challenge for, one that isn't supposedly Rachel, told Onku that she's an imposter as a princess of Jihad, and it made her angry. Like, she knew what she was saying. And this hooded member told the girl that's supposed to be Rachel, hey, can we kill everybody on the field? And that girl looks up at Bon and says, yes, of course, you can kill everybody. And she looks up, and it's clearly Rachel. Spoilers, but it's clearly Rachel. Undeniably Rachel. So I'm really curious to see why she is so apathetic towards Bon, even if all the flashbacks Bon has made Rachel seem very affectionate towards Bon, as a kin of sorts in the lower levels of this tower. And the last thing I will say, something tiny, but a lot of people have referred to this tower as this tower, as in there may be other towers in this meta world, this overworld that we would never have understood without that throwaway line from one character or another character, but they've all said, like, this is the king of this tower, or, oh, she's a princess of this tower. They have used the word this, to me, what feels like a very poignant use of this. And I know it sounds weird to say that. I'll admit it sounds weird, but it's very interesting to me that they've made it very apparent that there is more than one tower. So I'm excited to see later in the series if more than one tower may or may not exist. And I'm very excited to go forward with this particular season. So, you know what? Thank you for listening. I know Ethan has been talking about Gleipnir, and it's I'm a couple episodes behind, but the first 2 episodes were absolutely insane. You should go watch it. I highly recommend it. It's animated beautifully. But so is Tower of God. So I think we may have hit on some of the hits of this season. So, you know what? Thank you for listening. You can listen to us on YouTube. Hey, YouTube gang. Well, coming back to this particular lab away from the lab, and I am elated that you guys are keep watching. So, you know what? Thank you for listening. If you want to listen with your ears and not your eyes, go to Apple, Google, Spotify, or Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. But until next time, I'm Ricky, and that was Ethan, and this has been Weebology. Deuces!